Hey everybody, it is Dan here and Joe. We've got a new segment on the channel, and it is Love That Lecter.
That's right.
We all do.
You know, everybody here does, actually.
Yes.
Which, that's kind of, I guess, why we're tackling the show, because one of the reasons is we kind of like the character, talking about him in recent movies, and we want to explore why we like him, I guess.
Yeah, so we had, our list of shows that we've been doing specific episode reviews for, or group season reviews for. We started with Sopranos on your channel years ago.
Yeah.
Which you love, introduced me to. Then we took it over to my channel and did Frasier Fridays. Frasier we both love.
Yes.
One of our top shows. Then Freaks and Geeks was next. I love it. You'd never seen it.
Nope.
So we were brainstorming what show can we watch that neither of us had really seen. You saw a couple
that people
of episodes.
might be interested in.
That people might like.
And we had a hard time thinking of some.
We had a very hard time because we're both very versed.
Something, yeah.
Yes. But with the anniversary recently, Silence of the Lambs, 30th anniversary, we did a video about that. So towards the end of last year, I had suggested this one, Hannibal. And you said, that sounds great. Let's do it.
I was really interested in that choice because it just sounded like, it really would throw people for a curve.
You were surprised about me
because
liking it.
I know you.
Or me suggesting it.
Because I know that with the squeamishness and the dark serial killer stuff, it wouldn't be necessarily your go-to.
And I thought, stupidly, well, this is on network television. How gory... How gross can it be?
It's Hannibal.
And it turns out NBC spared no detail. So let's. This is Love That Lecter.
Love That Lecter, which I'm gonna put out there.
I thought it was funny.
It was funny, but I don't know if it's subconscious. But Batman '89 did do it first with Love That Joker,
and I forgot.
So I think we're inspired by.
I forgot maybe about that. I had only seen that once, but maybe a little inspiration.
But I feel like that might also be a throwback to whatever the bit is.
I think that's probably a throwback to the old sitcoms of the 50s and 60s, which is ironic in this day and age, because when I suggested Love That Lecter, WandaVision hadn't come out.
Ooh.
But of course, there's a lot of parallels now with sort of reigniting the love for some of those 50s and 60s sitcoms.
Hey, that's a good thing.
So, all right, whatever. We're sticking to it.
I guess so.
So, we are not going to do this like we did Freaks and Geeks every episode. I don't think we need to delve that much into it.
I don't think so.
This is going to be more like we did Sopranos on your channel, which was 5 episodes at a time.
Okay.
So, these seasons, there's 3 seasons total of this show. Each one has 13 episodes.
It's not bad.
So we're going to do the pilot here. This is just going to be for the pilot. The pilot gets its own review.
Yeah.
But then we're going to have the first 5 episodes of the season, second 5 episodes of the season, and then the third video of each season will be the last 3 episodes and the season recap.
Like as a whole.
Yeah. So each one will have 3 videos. I guess the first one will have 4 videos because of the pilot. But so total, there's only going to be 10 episodes of Love That Lecter.
Yeah,
and I think that's appropriate.
Easy to follow along.
So in this first episode, we're going to talk about aperitif.
They're all food puns.
They're all food puns. We see just some of the names here. Sorbet, potage.
Sorbet.
They're all, I guess, French because...
Fancy.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
Is he French? Is that the point?
I thought he was from like
Germany or German.
Eastern
European
or something.
So amuse-bouche,
He's European.
fromage. Maybe this isn't French. Maybe it is something else.
I think it's French,
but I think
remember, Lecter's really would know a lot of these fancy dishes.
Yes, and here is the insert that they give us with him at the table. All the food, all the wine. So he knows.
Very cultural.
All right, so this aired in 2013 for the first time, and we are going to put this up on the anniversary. April 4th, 2013 was the bit. So this will be the 8th anniversary of the debut of this show.
Wow. Didn't realize it was that old.
I was going to say, it's hard to believe. It feels like it was...
I remember when...
2015 maybe it debuted. But no.
This is one where I think people were talking about it a lot, even after it ended. Because I just felt like it was still in the public consciousness years after it ended.
I agree. And now it's available on something or other, Netflix, I think.
That's how we...
we watched it from this, but I think...
That's how I'm going to watch it.
You're going to watch it on Netflix. I have all the Blu-rays, but which look brilliant, by the way. Very crisp.
Very good.
Transfer on the Blu-ray.
Some of the best Blu-rays I've ever seen.
I agree.
Some good stuff.
I really agree. I'm excited to see what's next. So in this first episode, and we should say this is a prequel to everything
Yes.
that we've seen. Basically, the third season will end shortly before the events of Red Dragon.
Correct.
And that was proven to me on the commentary. So this is about unorthodox profiler Will Graham, who was played in the movie Red Dragon by Norton.
That's right, Ed Norton.
But here it is Hugh Dancy, who is the husband of Claire Danes, but he's done many things on his own. He is enlisted by the FBI's Jack Crawford, which is
that Harvey
Fishburne?
Yeah. It was
or Ray Liotta in... Or no, wasn't it Ray Liotta?
I think it was Keitel, right?
Oh, Keitel. Liotta was in the Hannibal movie.
Yeah.
And here it's Lawrence Fishburne. To catch the Minnesota Shrike, a serial killer who targets young women. Well, who does that sound like? When answers prove elusive, they ask noted psychiatrist Dr. Hannibal Lecter, played by Mads Mikkelsen in this particular iteration, to consult on the case and evaluate Will, who's suffering case-related mental strain. And we learn in this first episode that this version of the Will character has Asperger's.
Ah, yes.
Which
on some spectrum of it.
Yeah, and he talks about it. It's not just like he's doing tics
like,
that we think, that
can
reminds us of other things. But
he says it.
He straight up says it in this pilot episode. So this I watched today again for the second time because I watched it with the commentary. And the commentary track was with Hugh Dancy himself.
Oh, nice.
And Brian Fuller, who was the creator and also the director of this particular episode, was on the commentary. Now, Brian Fuller, before we go too into detail about this episode, I had known that name immediately, but I didn't know why.
Okay.
I thought, okay, Brian Fuller, why do I know it? Well, he has a great pedigree of these quirky shows. I know him best from Pushing Daisies.
Okay. Great
show. ABC ran it for 2 years, very popular.
Okay.
Wonder Falls is another one, ran 1 year on Fox. People love it.
Okay.
But you may know him as a writer slash producer slash story editor on 81 episodes of Star Trek, I believe Voyager.
Oh.
And then he wrote a couple of Deep Space Nines, but he's known mainly for Voyager. And as such, as being in the Star Trek Eye, co-creator of Discovery.
Huh.
So he is all in with the Star Trek universe.
Wow. Okay.
And there is some theories online that there is some sort of Fullerverse because many of his actors show up with the same name in different shows.
Huh.
So, for example, Wonder Falls and Pushing Daisies have a few things in common. And in fact, if you look on Wikipedia, there's a whole list of people that have been in different Fuller productions that have just shown up.
That's
so Hannibal was something a bit different, obviously.
Yeah, very different.
Because it's much darker.
Yeah.
So this first episode, now you're much more versed in the mythos of Hannibal.
A little more, yeah.
And such. I know the movies. I don't think you've read the books, but you know some of the things about the books.
I know a few things that happen in the books, and I have seen Hannibal Rising.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
But to be honest, and I guess Manhunter. So I know a little more than you do, but not that much.
Okay.
Really.
Well, in the commentary, they made it very clear that they were really trying to put some Easter eggs in there for fans of the novels.
Okay.
Because obviously, since all this happened pre Red Dragon, it hasn't really been. This is sort of a prelude to all of that.
Yeah.
Like, we've not seen anything on screen that is in this time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true for the books as well, maybe?
Right,
because Manhunter is basically Red Dragon.
Yeah, so Red Dragon is the earliest, so this would be a prequel to all of that.
Okay. So it's taking, obviously, the crux of the character and sort of peppering in some interesting things that maybe we have seen before.
Did Thomas Harris have anything to do with this show?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
Well,
I could be wrong on that, but...
Because sometimes they might consult or something.
Right.
Maybe he didn't care. But
Yeah, I don't know.
I know he was
because he is still alive, right?
Yeah, I think he pretty much helped write like all the movies. So
Right. Okay.
that surprised me, but
He could though. I mean, I don't know.
who knows what they actually.
And we're filming this on my phone, so I'm not going to look it up. But
no, it's fine. I was curious.
We'll find out for next time.
But I think you're right. So this, as far as I know, this is mostly original stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to see that fleshes out Red Dragon buildup, basically. But I'm guessing there's probably more they mention in Red Dragon about their relationship they could probably use as something to build on.
Yeah, some sort of filler.
Because remember, in the movie,
fodder,
we get the basics, but there's details they cut out of the novel.
Right,
Probably.
right. So, Mads Mikkelsen, we've seen in a few different projects.
Yeah.
And I was first, I guess, alerted to his existence with this movie. I forget the name of it even, but we did it for Film Fanatics years ago.
Was it The Hunt?
It might have been The Hunt. There were like 2 Mads movies we did within a few months. I forget which one was first, but yeah.
Well,
and he was great.
I remember he. I feel like I've seen. Okay. Actually, all right. This is silly. Well, first of all, he was more recently. I guess right around that time, he was the villain in Doctor Strange. He was the bad wizard.
Well, that would have been far after this, but yes.
But we both would have known him a long time
in
ago.
recent years
because
he did some things.
He kind of, I think, got his start because he was the villain, the chief in Casino Royale.
Oh, okay.
So he's actually kind of been around.
That's right.
That's probably his first.
And I did see Casino Royale. That's one of the few Bonds I've seen.
I think his first big.
Okay.
As the villain.
Well, he's great in this.
Yeah.
He really. I think what's interesting
got the
is
cadence down,
he's they made it clear in the commentary that he made a conscious effort to not just do
a Hopkins impression,
to make this character truly his own, based on how he felt about the character, I guess, from the novels or whatever. And I think he does make it his own.
Yeah.
I think he does a good job of that.
But you can tell that based upon what, I guess, the general view of Hannibal is, based upon the movies, he's still kind of going for how the character's written. He's like soft-spoken,
yes,
but kind of very pragmatic, and there's this slight undercurrent of potential menace just under there.
Right. Well, and something that they said in the commentary that I thought is sort of silly for the 2013 age, but for future generations.
Okay.
He made some sort of comment that, like, okay, if you didn't know anything about the character, and this was your introduction, it would be sort of an interesting twist, sort of down the line that, okay, he is
becomes a bad
guy. He's a bad guy, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, well, everybody knows who Hannibal is, da 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 da. But
maybe a lot of people.
Well, when you think about it, this is on Netflix now.
Young people.
I don't think Silence of the Lambs is. So the truth is, probably somebody under the age of 18, if they stumbled upon this on Netflix, it's very possible, even now in 2021, but certainly for 10, 15 years down the line, if stuff like this lives on in a bingeable
10 years from now
type of thing on streaming, I could easily see people finding this of a younger age that have never heard of Silence of the Lambs.
If they might not catch it first. I mean, it's such a big, iconic movie, but I guess you're right.
Like, it seems silly to say that now. But the truth is, with streaming and binging and everything,
maybe,
and people discovering things 20 years down the line, who knows?
Well, the truth is,
so I think that's interesting.
With enough time, there probably will be a point where Silence of the Lambs might be more obscure, certainly for younger people.
Right.
I'd say, around this time, there probably are people in their late teens, early 20s that might not know all the details of Silence of the Lambs.
And think about it. Okay, Clarice is now this TV show on CBS, but who watches CBS? Old people. You know what I mean? Like, kids aren't watching CBS. So I think it's very possible in 10 or 15 years, people don't know this character from anything. They stumble across this on Netflix and binge it.
Actually, I have to say that if that wasn't the intention, then I think that's pretty cool. Because if you had no idea about the character, then you think he's kind of a quiet, maybe slightly quirky guy that knows how to cook. But he doesn't seem like he helps the main character.
Yeah, now he's being helpful. We don't know much else about him other than refined.
He kind of, there's that
intelligent.
That one hint where he does like call the serial killer later to kind of like almost play with him, give him a heads up. So that was like the one hint that something's not completely on the up and up.
Maybe he's not on the level.
Other than that one nugget, though, he seems fine.
Yes.
He actually seems like a great foil for the main character.
Actually,
because he's kind of going to like balance him and do therapy on him and all that.
Yes.
It's going to be an interesting cop show.
Although he does, of course, in true Hannibal style, get Will to go ahead and eat people in that first breakfast together.
Well, look. It's sausage for the omelet, and we don't know. They could be teasing.
But we do.
No, hey.
I know for sure from the commentary because they said there's been questions about this, and for us, it was never in doubt.
Well,
he is cooking up people. They didn't say it quite like that, but they said for them specifically.
All right.
But they admitted there were questions about it.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, obviously on the commentary they said that, so that was their intention. But I do like that it's implied, and it's not outright.
Yes, it's certainly implied, but yes, it's not.
It's like you don't automatically
It's
pound
not
over the head
obvious.
like that he actually cooked somebody. Because the thing about Lecter is, yes, he does like to eat people, and he likes to serve people to people, and gets off on it. But he knows how to cook other things as well, so it didn't necessarily have to be.
No, and doesn't he look like a great chef though?
Look,
God, when he's cooking, man, I am just drooling.
This first episode is really just this great contrast of dark detective stuff and just a great cooking show.
Yes.
Yes. Like, oh man, like, and I always joke.
Emerald meets CSI, basically, is what it is.
He should team up with Chef.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be a great reality show?
Team up.
Like they compete with each other. Yes. Different teams, they're different styles.
Hannibal versus John Favreau.
John Favreau's like, oh, come on, he's all over the place. And Hannibal's like, oh, very quiet. He's
all right, what about the set design?
Set design is stellar.
The bathroom.
Scene. All right. Look, I'll get this out of the way because we were kind of talking about it the whole time, but we've been pointing this out more. Just the pilot. From a technical perspective, the cinematography, the editing,
it's outstanding.
The set design and the costume design, everything is just so incredibly meticulous and well put together and colorful and bright, and that Blu-ray helps.
Yeah, the Blu-ray didn't hurt.
The bathroom was like the first scene where it really hit me, like, because Will has that weird dream sequence where he's like, basically, we see him in the water and there's blood around him, and he kind of gets up and it just kind of fades out with the blur to him coming up in the bathroom, obviously not covered in blood. But then Larry Fishburne comes in and the wall is completely red, contrasted like with what he's envisioning, his subconscious where he actually is, with what he's thinking about. Like in that one little transition, there's so much thought that was put into that.
And let me tell you,
it's great.
Let me tell you what they said on the commentary about that particular scene. First of all, the room was an homage to The Shining. We could have guessed that. Okay,
yeah, sure.
But they did that scene in 2 takes.
2
done. Well, so somebody meticulously set up that staging for probably an entire day,
and they got it done.
And they got it done in about 5 minutes.
I bet the people behind them are probably like, "What the? This so break it down already."
But look, I mean, these are obviously pros. I mean, Lawrence Fishburne. Come on.
Was that bit with the yelling at the guy? Was that improv or was that in the script? Did they say
both?
That?
Yes, they actually did talk about that.
No,
they did talk about that because they said basically in the script. It just says that he yells at him.
So they gave him a little room.
So they gave him some room to play with, and they said in the commentary they felt like even Fishburne did not quite know
what was
going to come out or how abrasive.
That's great.
And then they said that they should at some point do a spin-off series about that man.
What happens to him? He's so shocked.
Why
are they yelling at me?
And they joked that they think he probably did go to the women's room after, after the yelling.
And to be honest, in a pretty dark show, that was
it was
great
some good
moment
levity.
Of levity.
It actually was.
It was good.
It was some good levity. So let's talk about the serious nature of the show. Because I had mentioned earlier, I thought this was not going to be light, but I mean, I thought, well, it's network television.
I still don't get it.
I am floored.
Dude,
I'm still floored.
I'm not.
That how... No, I mean, as a
TV person,
as a TV historian, as I fancy myself.
I watch TV now.
To learn that this was what was on NBC, and I don't look. I get it. The killing, they kill people all the time on the CSIs
but with
and
such
stuff.
Detail,
but I mean, there
murder,
is such
blood everywhere,
gross,
beautiful,
and I mean that in a not in a bad way necessarily, but like a realistic. The splattering on the security system. The security alarm in that first scene.
Even when
the guy coming down the stairs.
And the flashback when they get shot, and it's like they show the impact. There's blood just going everywhere.
And one thing that they said in the commentary I thought was interesting is that they actually were sort of advised to kind of amp it up because they wanted to show that gun violence
could still be destructive.
Is very, very, very deadly. And they didn't want to have people shooting each other in this show and then just having some, like a little bit of blood, or whatever. So, they wanted to show that, no, this S is real.
They're going to do it.
Because when you think about it, by the time the CSI people or the NCIS or whoever's on CBS, it's all done.
It's all done.
They're already there. The blood's dried, whatever.
They're starting to rot and go cold.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a little less visceral because it's not happening in the now.
And you know what?
And that was a good point. I didn't think about it like that.
That is a good point. And we were talking a bit about the history of violence on TV, and I think Hannibal shows how far it's come. But CSI is a good example because they got away with a lot of gruesome stuff.
Yeah.
But mostly after the fact.
Right. Mostly just corpses and
I always
stuff.
Like to go back to my old buddy who's over X-Files, who I think had a huge part to play in what you can get away with. But there were some disgusting and pretty graphic things they showed, but once again, usually after the fact, monster jumps out, you hear some sound effects, you don't actually see them get killed.
Also, very dimly lit,
dark,
in some scenes,
shots cut away.
When they did that,
so they never actually show you what happened.
Right.
So
this is front and center.
Oh yeah.
In that first scene is just littered with blood, and I was just shocked.
Even with the death, with the way the blood's pooling, oh man! With the towards the end, when the neck gets cut, the one for the daughter.
And look, network television is obviously trying to keep pace with HBO and AMC.
Yeah.
We got it.
Edgy.
They have to do it, and obviously they're not going to air this at 8 p.m. This is a 10 p.m. show. It's fine.
Ooh.
But I'm
Risque.
floored. I'm floored that this got past the censors. I mean, this is very, very disturbing.
Like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, never.
Oh my God.
Not even close.
Well, I remember when NYPD Blue in the 90s, that broke a lot of the molds of, certainly with language and a little bit of nudity and certain elements of that. But like when you think back to the action shows of like the 80s where it's like all this gunfire and
A-Team.
No one ever gets... Yeah, A-Team, no one ever died, even though they
no
shot
blood
everybody
anywhere.
out. Miami Vice, I think, was the same. Starsky and Hutch was the same. So it's like...
Wow.
So in that respect, it is interesting that gunplay actually is proven damaging in this show and real.
And I think Hannibal, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here considering this is only the pilot, but just with the reputation it has, just by the pilot itself, I think it's a good example of how Hannibal's kind of in the conversation, I think, of great new dramas and thrillers.
Yeah, people love it.
Right up there with like Breaking Bad and stuff. And I think obviously this comes after a lot of those shows, but that just shows how integrated it really is now. Like this is almost like the standard. And for the whole argument of like, what we were, even with the Blu-ray, how things were set up, how it was shot and put together, a TV show feels truly cinematic.
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly the last, I would say, 10 years especially. And honestly, let's be real, The Sopranos probably ushered in a lot of that stuff.
That's the one.
So thank you, HBO, for that. But
of course,
I think in the last 10, 15 years, we've seen a huge increase. And a lot of it is cable, but some of it can be on network TV. And I think Lost was a big part for network TV.
Lost was a big
as well.
Show. Yeah.
But when this came out, you had Bates Motel, which was obviously another show about a classic killer. In Norman Bates. That was on A&E. But then you did have The Following on Fox with, I think that was Kiefer Sutherland maybe? Or was that Kevin Bacon?
Kevin Bacon.
And that was doing a lot of sort of more over-the-line type stuff that we didn't see on network television. And that show wasn't nearly as popular as Bates Motel or as Hannibal. Kind of came and went, but...
Kind of like Aquarium with David
Oh,
Duchovny.
yeah, with David Duchovny. But you know what? That was more... It was, but it was more like...
Was that more...
Because I watched the first few episodes. There wasn't any
blood?
Real blood or violence. It was him trying to track down Charlie Manson.
Okay.
Or Charles Manson. I know him. I know him personally. I call him Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
Okay. Love that Charlie.
Oh. No.
But anyway, Aquarius. It was more. That was more like in less.
That's more implied.
Visual, yes.
Yeah.
More implied, like you were saying about the X-Files.
So that'd be more like a 90s one.
Yes. Yeah.
But I just feel like this is almost like a standard now. for a good one.
I mean, it certainly ushered in, I think, a lot of interesting
pushing of the
things
boundaries
to do on network television that you could actually get away with.
Because
that's probably in Clarice, and probably in the new Equalizer show as well that they're doing things with.
Was that a serious one? I know it's Queen Latifah. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be. I didn't care much for it, but
check out his video on his channel about it. But here's another point that I think is interesting about Hannibal. The show. First of all, I just want to say that in terms of obviously some films have certainly done it, but with the blood shots, the
splatter,
the blood impact, the blood splatter, those scenes, obviously with the slow motion, they do have this. Probably one of the themes of the show is kind of showing something gruesome, but trying to make it as artful as possible.
Very artful. They succeeded there.
It might sound weird, but that's some of the most beautiful gunshot sequences I've ever seen. Like it was like I was impressed by it. Just with the splatter of it in general. It still blows my mind a little bit. But this show reminded me a lot of True Detective season 1. And
which I missed. I saw the bad season.
I mean, not entirely, but just in terms of like the visuals, especially like with the woman floating in the darkness and being impaled by the horns, and I'm like, wow, this is some. And True, if you want to talk about disturbing, just in general, the atmosphere.
Right.
True Detective is one of the darkest shows ever.
Well, HBO's been doing that. Oz, The Wire, Sopranos.
But it's on another level. Like it's dark, like serial killer. Evil.
Yeah.
It's
these are not feel good shows.
But did Hannibal come out before True Detective?
Oh yeah.
Because
I think so.
Because I'm telling you,
2013 I think is before True Detective.
I think so. So when I saw those sequences, I'm like, I think they're borrowing a little bit from Hannibal.
Maybe.
Because if you looked at them, with no spoilers for it, but towards the end of season 1, which I recommend you watch, it's there.
Wow.
I think they were looking at this Hannibal. I really do. It's like practically lifted some of it.
Wow.
Though I think with True Detective, it was a bit more visceral, like grounded, like dirty, and like more like Silence of the Lambs kind of.
Okay.
But instead of overly, maybe with some of the CGI and digital, it wasn't as polished.
Yeah.
But it's similar imagery, very similar imagery.
All right. Well, look, we could go on and on. It's been almost a half hour. Let's wrap it there because we are going to talk about the next 4 episodes in one video coming up. And so we'll talk about a lot more of these themes. And I think it's sort of nonsensical to grade episode by episode, but we should probably grade the pilot so we have a starting ground.
Well, I guess we can. We'll try to grade the season as a whole.
And then the season as a whole, yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Kind of like we did with Frasier. For me, this is an A-.
Okay.
I think the negatives I really have is that the going back and forth between his imagination and the the fantasy of putting himself in the position I wasn't sure that
if some of the scenes
it wasn't as clear to me until halfway through the show. Okay, I get what they're doing each time, but between the dream sequences, the juxtaposition was not quite as clear to me.
Okay, I didn't have a problem with that.
Did you have any negatives about it? The show as a whole, I mean, not just that specific
the pilot.
Part,
not particularly.
Okay.
The only maybe it ends now. Not particularly.
I thought it ended pretty well. Actually,
I like the sudden ending of it. That gets you interested to watch the next one. Like where are we going to go from here? Maybe that. Well, no. You know what? I don't think it's perfect, but
I know you didn't like when Hannibal called the guy.
No, I thought that was good.
You liked that part.
No, that was good. That lets you know. I mean, I didn't like that he did that.
Oh, okay. But you were just mad that he did it.
I get it though, because he seems like he's so in line with being a good guy in this stage. But he was like trying to almost give the serial killer heads up, but he still helped catch him anyway.
Right.
It's a very. I want to learn more about the character.
Okay, and that's fair.
So I think it does a really good job for a pilot. I don't know how well defined the relationship between the two of them is right now, like they started to.
Yeah, it's very, very early on.
Because they spend so much time building up Will, and then they take a while, then show Hannibal, and then we get to know him well.
Hannibal isn't really even in it for the first half, probably.
Which is interesting.
Of the pilot,
and I think both the characters, we get a good sense of who they are. Mm-hmm. But their relation with each other, I feel like maybe they could have used a few more scenes, but I'm kind of grasping at straws here. I really loved
Yeah,
it. I'm
okay.
giving it an A. I
Okay,
thought
very good.
This is a great pilot.
Well, let's see if it can sort of hold our attention for those grades throughout 13
it's
episodes.
probably going to be a villain of the week catch-up show.
Well, the villain of the week thing I think is the main reason we decided just to do a group of them at once.
I think we're going to see some repetition.
Yeah, which is okay. I mean, this is how a lot of these shows go.
And we'll talk about it, but the whole buddy cop with the spin is just everywhere.
Yes.
That's
true.
Police procedural.
But all right, well that will do it for this episode of Love That Lecter. We'll get these up probably every week or two, sort of like we did Freaks and Geeks and Frasier. Maybe not every single week, but we'll try to crank them out every couple of weeks.
And we were both wrong on the time.
Yeah, I thought maybe 20 to 25, and you
I
thought
said 18.
17 minutes, 18 minutes. I said, Joe, please. This is
One
us.
of these days we'll be surprised. But
Gab
it was
hour.
fine.
Come
Done.
on. All right. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.